So in the last video, guys, I showed you this intake. This is basically a stock H22 intake manifold that has been ported out. And this is the one I'm going to be using on the turbo build. But I really want to clean it up and kind of make it almost look like an aftermarket intake. So as I mentioned before, there's a lot of vacuum ports on here that I will not be using anymore. A lot of that stuff has been deleted or will be deleted. So I want to work on cleaning this up. So I'm going to be removing a lot of these ports. I think the only one I'm going to keep is this one because it goes to the fuel pressure regulator. So I'm going to keep that one, and everything else is going to get cut off and plugged up. There's also a lot of threading here that is not going to be used anymore, same as here. So there's a lot of stuff on this intake that will no longer be used, and I kind of want to cut all that stuff off, kind of grind it down. It's almost going to be like shaving something, right? So that's kind of the idea here. So I'm going to get to work on that. I'll get this top part of the intake taken off and just start cutting, I guess. All right, guys, well, here is basically all the bulk pieces that I've removed with the cutting disc. The rest of this I'm gonna have to try and take care of with the Dremel, with a die grinding attachment on it. So like I'm just gonna start smoothing all of this stuff out. I've drilled out already where the ports were. So I've drilled out all the steel. So it's just aluminum now. Something else that I noticed is actually there used to be a vacuum port here as well, but it looks like it's been JB welded shut or something like that. So I'm gonna have to try and grind that off as well and get it down to the bare aluminum again, because when we get this powder coated, I want it to stick nicely to it. So yeah, I'm just gonna get the die grinder out and start grinding on this thing, start making it look nice. All right, guys, well, I used a combination of the Dremel, flap disc, and some 80 grit sandpaper, and we're actually looking pretty good. So I don't want to do anything final on here, like final sanding or anything, until I get everything welded up, because once it's welded, I'm going to want to smooth it out again and kind of get it to all kind of match the contours of the manifold. So this is all done on the back side. This is where the JB weld used to be, so I ground that down, got down to the hole and drilled that out. So it should all be just bare aluminum now. No steel left in there either, so it should weld up pretty nice. So that'll be the next step on here, is to get everything welded. So I'm gonna try and head down to the welding shop this week sometime, and we'll see if we can get this welded. So this is it for the top portion. I'm gonna get to work on the bottom portion of the intake now. Now on the bottom portion, there's not a whole lot that I need to do. It's mainly cosmetic things. So some of these threaded pieces here I will no longer need. So I think I'm just gonna cut those off and try and grind them as flat as I can. I might also try and get rid of some of these casting marks. Not really anything of much importance, but it's mainly just gonna make it look a little bit better cosmetically. Same with these welded pieces here. I might just try and grind them flat and sand them down a little bit, just so that they look a little bit better. But a lot of this isn't even gonna be seen because it's gonna be sitting under the fuel rail, and it's also gonna be all powder coated black. So it's all gonna kind of blend together, I think. But just kind of having fun with this. I'm gonna try and make it look as good as I possibly can. So I'm gonna get to that now. All right, guys, so after a lot of grinding and sanding, we have got this thing looking pretty good. So there were 3 threaded things here, and there was 1 here, And I think once this thing's powder coated, you never even know that they were there. So I cut them off, and then I used a flap disc as much as I could, and then took care of the rest with the Dremel. And it turned out really good. So I think this kind of just needs a final sanding on it, and it's gonna look good. So I also took the Dremel inside here as well. These 3 runners here, these were kind of all filled in with aluminum from the casting process, and this one was like half filled in and it looked really messy. So I took the Dremel to that and got it all cleared out. They look really good. So now it kind of matches. These are all open and now these are all open. That looks really good. And then I honestly don't know what these are for, but they looked really messy as well. So I just took the flap disc to them and made them flat. And they look much better now too. So not that anyone's really going to see any of that because it's all covered by the fuel rail. But I don't know. I'm just kind of having fun here, kind of shaving it the best I can, make it look really nice. And I think once this is all powder coated, it's going to look really good. All right, guys, we are getting so close to being able to pull this engine out of here. Basically, all I'm waiting on now, I'm going to get everything welded up. Once the piping is welded, I'm going to do one last test fit to make sure everything lines up. If we're good there, I can start pulling this stuff off the engine. So then we can start mocking up things on the block over here, like oil feed lines and stuff like that. But yeah, once this is out of here, basically, I think we are ready to start pulling the engine. I may want to get a catch can yet and get that mounted in the engine bay first before I pull anything. And that way I know where everything's gonna go. And then I can kind of test the valve cover on here with the bungs, make sure the lines are all run and it looks good. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna do a battery relocate and mount the catch can here, or there is a lot of room over here, so I may mount the catch can over here. Haven't decided yet. That's why I kind of want to mock it up first beforehand, because once this engine is out of here, we're going to start working on shaving the bay and getting it ready for paint. So that is exciting. I won't be able to paint it until spring, but it would be so good if I could get it ready for that. All right, guys, I made it to the welding shop this week and I was able to get my bungs welded onto the valve cover. I also got all the holes plugged on the intake manifold, so they turned out really good. So I'm going to spend some time today trying to get these things smoothed out and see if I can kind of get this piece looking real nice. And I was also able to get my blow-off valve flange welded up on this pipe here. Looks really good. This is just a quick mock-up of where the blow-off valve is going to sit. I'm very happy with it. And we were also able to get the last bit of piping welded up. So that means my intercooler piping is completely finished now. Last step is going to be powder coating, which I won't do until I have everything ready for powder coating so I can drop it all off at once. But yeah, this is really good progress, guys. So I'm going to spend some more time again just with the Dremel and probably the grinder and maybe even the orbital sander, and just going to try to smooth all these out, get it looking real nice. So that's what I'll be working on now. I probably won't show much of that because it'll be exactly the same as what you saw before. But next time you see this, it should be all nice and smooth. Well, guys, the weather in the past couple of weeks has been brutal. We've had at least 3 blizzards, and when it wasn't snowing, the temperature was so low that it was too cold to work outside. So like we reached temperatures of like -40 some days Celsius. And yeah, it's too cold to even do anything outside. So haven't gotten a whole lot done in the garage, but today I think we're finally able to get some stuff done. So here's a quick reference of how much snow we got. This is where the Furious Civic is parked. Obviously you can't see it right now because it's under snow. Also, Tim needed to borrow the truck last weekend, so his car is here. The truck was buried under all of this. We had to shovel all this away so we could pull the truck out with my new daily, which I am not going to show you guys yet. And this is the backyard, completely covered in snow. I used to have a trampoline there, but it is gone. You can only see a little bit of the ladder sticking up out of the ground, but yeah, we have got snow, guys. So yeah, basically, if it wasn't snowing, it was too cold, or I was out shoveling the driveway because There was too much snow that we couldn't even get the cars off the driveway. So that took a lot of time. This past couple of weeks I've been so busy with that kind of stuff, and I haven't even been able to do anything in the garage. So back out here today, I'm going to show you guys where we're at. So this is where I'm at with the intake manifold. As you can see, I got it all ground down and sanded, and you can't even tell on this thing that there were vacuum ports there. This turned out really good. I'm very happy with it. This spot, I think I may have ground a little bit too much, so there's a bit of a flat spot here. But honestly, I think once it's all powder coated, you're not even really going to notice it that much. I think it's going to look really nice. Now, I still want to get inside it here with the Dremel so I can smooth out these welds. Just to make the air flow a little bit nicer in there. But yeah, other than that, this thing is pretty much done. I'm just gonna do a bit of grinding in there with the Dremel, and I don't know, I was kind of thinking maybe I'll get some JB Weld or something just to smooth it out, and then it should be all just one solid piece running through. I think it'll look really clean, and it'll flow really nice. All right, guys, so I've been working at this for a little while now, and I got all three of these welds pretty smooth. They don't look perfect, but they are lower than they were. So now when I do add some JB Weld or whatever I decide to use, it should smooth right out. So that'll work really good. I think I'm gonna wait until after this is all powder coated before I do that, because I'm not quite sure how the heating process is going to affect that. So I'd rather do it once the powder coating is finished. Now I want to get to work on the valve cover a little bit. So I actually want to remove this baffle basically for the powder coating process, because they're going to have to sandblast this thing, and I don't want any debris getting stuck in behind this baffle. There already is debris, metal shavings and stuff stuck in behind from when I drilled the holes for the bungs. And it's not coming out. I've tried shaking it out and all that kind of stuff, and there's just no way to confirm that it's all out of there. So what I'm going to do is drill out all of these rivets, and then that'll allow this whole baffle to come off. Once everything's powder coated and it's all clean, then I'm going to tap it, and then I'm going to bolt it back down. I'll probably have to use either some JB Weld on the threads or Loctite or something to make sure they're not going to come loose. But I'll worry about that later on. Today's focus is just going to be removing this. All right, guys, well, I got the baffle removed and the valve cover is all cleaned out now. So I got all the metal shavings out of there. I kind of rinsed it off in the solvent tank, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with how this went. It was pretty simple. All I did was I drilled a small hole in each of the rivets. I didn't go too deep, just enough to get below the surface of the baffle. And then what I did is I took a hammer and a chisel and just chiseled off the top part of the rivets, and they all popped off pretty easily. And then after that, there's a little bit of like gasket maker in here. So I just lightly pried up on it with a flathead screwdriver, and it all popped right off. So this actually went pretty smoothly. I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, next step would be to basically grind these rivets flat. And then we would want to drill and tap so that we can bolt this back in once we get it back from powder coating. But I think I'm going to save that for another day. This video I think is going to be long enough as it is. And I got some other stuff going on too that I want to take care of. So I think I'm going to end this one here. All right, guys. Well, I've been trying to get this video finished for well over a week now. This is probably about a month worth of footage in this video, just because I've been so busy in between. And like I said, the weather's been bad, and I've been busy outside and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I apologize that it's coming out kind of late. And it's kind of all over the place, but I do think I got a lot accomplished in this video. Since I got all this footage put together, I've also received a bunch more parts for the engine. I got stuff like the oil feed lines, and I also got a catch can and all the lines needed for that. So next time I want to start mocking that kind of stuff up in the engine bay. Once that's mocked up, I think we're ready to actually start pulling the engine. So stuff's gonna start moving along pretty quick now. As long as the weather cooperates, we're gonna be making a lot of progress real quick. And I also mentioned earlier that I traded in the Sonic for a new daily driver. Drop a comment below, guys. Let me know what you think it is. I'm definitely going to be doing a reveal video, so you can look forward to that. I'm pretty stoked about it. It's something that I've always wanted. As you guys know, I've always been a Jeep guy, and this is something a little different. It's a bit similar, but it's definitely different, and something I've always wanted. So super stoked about it. And I think I made a good choice here. But anyway, guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Definitely drop me a comment below. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.